morning, everyone. My name is Mackenzie Smith, and I'm the head librarian here at the University of California, Davis, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Davis and to the university and to this conference. I will be kind of moderating the next couple of days, so you'll get to see a lot of me. But right now, it's my great pleasure to introduce our welcome remarks from the brand new Dean of the College of Letters and Science, Elizabeth Spiller, who has been here for a grand total of 2.5 months, having arrived from Virginia Tech most recently, and who is both the Dean of the college and a professor in the English department here. And we've asked her to take a few minutes to just welcome you to campus and talk a little bit about the event, and then you'll see me again to get the proceedings going. Elizabeth, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mackenzie. First, let me, on behalf of the University of California at Davis, let me welcome all of you who are in this room and all of you who are not in this room, coming from, as I understand it, China, India, Africa, Latin America, Europe, North America, and probably some places I haven't mentioned. And it's my understanding that the people who are joining us remotely are perhaps 3 times as many as the people who are physically here this morning. So this is a global gathering. On behalf of UC Davis, we welcome you to campus and we welcome you to this symposium. As some of you may know, UC Davis is a top 10 US public research university. It's part of the University of California that collectively publishes 2% of the scholarly journal literature. So I would say we have a well-informed invested interest in some of the topics in this conversation. As a land-grant institution, UC Davis, I think, really is committed to solving a number of global problems, and particularly those kinds of wicked problems that require complex solutions around food, health, the environment, and society. Within the College of Letters and Science itself, which I represent, I would say that our faculty and our students are committed to what I think of as curiosity-driven knowledge. Research really that sometimes is better at asking why more than it asks what for. I think that's always a really good question when you're thinking about the dissemination of knowledge. And I think our faculty thus are really committed to the idea of the creation of knowledge as a good. And I think this is something that a land grant and a College of Letters and Science have in common, is really the idea that the creation of knowledge is never an individual truth, but really to be powerful needs to be a collective truth. And I think this conference, really with its focus on thinking both about the promises and the risks of open access knowledge production and sharing, I think this is I think we're very happy to have this conference be happening in this place because it really speaks to things we believe in. I want to talk very briefly about a couple of programs here at UC Davis that I think are relevant to things that are at the heart of this conference. The first is the UC Davis Interdisciplinary Frontiers in the Humanities and the Arts, IFHA, which is it's a globally competitive, large-scale interdisciplinary research activity in areas of strategic importance across the humanities, social sciences, and creative and performing arts at UC Davis. There are some interdisciplinary research teams that we generally believe, I think, that problems are better solved by people with a range of disciplinary foci. I think that in general, one person almost never has the answer and one discipline almost never has the answer. And these kinds of interdisciplinary research teams are critical to crafting transformational theories and approaches to the complex problems facing today's individuals and societies. I also wanted to mention very briefly the Innovating Communications in Scholarship, ICIS project, which really deals with the use of the internet and other transformations in scholarly publishing to affect the meaning of publication and scholarship. I think we all know that what it means to publish something and what it means to do scholarship is a necessarily changing activity. And so I think this is one of our interests in thinking about that. The project team includes people from across the campus, and a couple of, well, actually, many of them are here today, including Mario Biagioli, Jonathan Eisen, Mackenzie Smith, and a number of other individuals both in this room and probably outside this room. The project does an annual conference that examines new trends in scholarly communications, Publish or Perish, 2014, Gaming Metrics, Innovation and Surveillance in Academic Misconduct, 2016, and this year, as you all know, the Open Digital Global South. So let me welcome all of you. I am sorry I'm not going to get to stay for what looks like an extraordinarily exciting 2 days of events. Okay, I will, okay, in my spare time, I will watch it online, so I'm expecting stellar and insightful comments from all of you here. Welcome.
Okay, I hope you feel properly welcomed. So let me say just a little bit about the conference in general and the project before we introduce our first speaker. As I said, my name is Mackenzie Smith, and I'm the head of library here. And as Dean Spiller mentioned, I am one of 3 principal investigators on the Innovating Scholarship and Communication project, the other 2 being Mario Biagioli, who is here in the front. Say hello. And Jonathan Eisen, who is there in the back. And I also need to, very importantly, introduce 2 key people who really did the heavy work of putting all this together. Alexandra Lippman in the front row there, and Michael Wolf. Alexandra's a postdoc in the Science and Technology Studies program, and Mike Wolf is the Scholarly Communications Officer in the library. And all 5 of us are here throughout the conference and ready to help you with anything you might need, answer any questions you have, and so on. As Elizabeth mentioned, there are about 80 people registered for the event here in person and at least double that number online. So keep that in mind, that I felt it was important. I think we all know that in-person interaction can be much more exciting and dynamic, but because of the nature of this talk or this event, we felt that it was very important that everybody be able to participate wherever they are in the world. And many people cannot take the time or pay the money to fly to Davis, California. So this is really a virtual event, and just keep that in mind as you ask questions, interact, and so on. And we're going to do our level best to allow the people who are online to participate as well. Okay. So the Global North is very interested, increasingly enthusiastic about open practices that promise to improve research reproducibility, reusability, accountability, and impact. Open scholarship has great potential to improve global access to knowledge and facilitate global intellectual conversations, as you all know. But open access scholarship also has the potential to create new kinds of inequalities that aren't as well recognized or as often discussed. If open scholarship is the right direction, we need to understand what we will gain and what we will lose in that evolution. So this meeting was originally inspired by a few things. First, the insights of 2 of the project's collaborators on the Innovating Communications and Scholarship project, who are Madhavi Sundar and Anupam Chander, who wrote an article in 2004 called Romance of the Public Domain. And they're both faculty in the law school here. So we've been discussing that article all along and related issues. So that was the first part. And that really looked at the imbalance of contributions to and benefits from public commons in general, particularly in the digital age. Second, we noticed the growing acceptance of open access, which seems to be at kind of a turning point where there is now global level discussions that are quite serious about converting the entire scholarly communication system to open access in our lifetime. And that raises all kinds of interesting issues about the business models and modes for that, which will work very differently in different parts of the world. And we need to have more discussion about that now before open access has become the global default. So the team has been talking about these issues quite a lot over the last couple of years and thought that now is the time to try to have an event like this, even though we're not aware of any other similar events on this topic, at least in North America. So it's a bit of an experiment to see how do you have a global conversation about something that affects us all when you can't bring everybody together and you have so many different viewpoints on these issues. So I hope you'll bear with us. We think this is really an exciting opportunity to try to create more of a community around these topics and then continue the discussion long beyond the next couple of days. So we do have representation here from lots of parts of the world, as Elizabeth mentioned. We have speakers from Africa, South Asia, East Asia, Latin America, people in the US and Europe, and a lot of people who've traveled a very long way to be here with us. So I really want to thank them for taking the time and effort to be here with us, and also the many participants who've traveled from outside the Bay Area and Sacramento area to participate.